Hey there, good people. Welcome to another episode of Belonging Life. Super excited to have you here today. Listen, if this is your very first time being here with me on this channel, I'm simply here to help people who've been Christians for a long time. And for those of you who haven't been a Christian for a long time, though, to give you some insight over some of the things that you might hear on Sundays or Wednesdays or whenever you're in Bible study, but this hasn't been explained to you. And maybe it's been a little bit frustrating to you. Perhaps you've asked the leaders of your church and they couldn't answer it for you. And a lot of times that's the case. And again, while I'm not here to come for people, I do want to share with you that I think a lot of times people don't study. This is the reason that I actually began this channel. The purpose of this channel was to not only teach and to share, as best as I possibly can, but to help people who are struggling to understand sometimes what they hear, things that might be apparent contradictions even in the scripture. What I aim to do is give you at least a foundation so that you can continue to grow from that foundation. What I'll also do is I will certainly point you to people who are so much smarter than me, who have a long history of study and background and different things along those lines in the text, but things that I know that ultimately will help you build out a more robust journey with Jesus. So that is my goal. And so I like to take words or things that you hear and then give you what lane they actually belong in. In addition to that, I teach Bible study on Wednesday nights. Super excited about that. We're blessed. We go chapter by chapter in these just to break it down and to have conversation around it. So it's a blessing. I'll make sure that I leave a link for you in that if you're interested in being a part of that. It is virtual, so we'll be happy to have you all over the United States. Doesn't matter where you're from or all over the world. Doesn't matter. It's up to you. 7 p.m. on Wednesday nights. But I want to talk to you today about a word that, again, most of the stuff I'm going to share with you are things that you would hear, like maybe in more of a theological setting where you were in some schooling, right, to become a pastor, a leader, or you were involved in a deeper study of scripture. But I want to kind of bring these to the table for people because these are things that I wanted to know too. And I was pastoring a church, like I was pastoring people for 11 years, and I've been involved in ministry for 30 plus years. But I didn't have this. And I started also seeing the perplexity on people's faces when they were like, so what exactly does that mean, right? You're not a theology student, right? You're not trying to get a degree in ministry. You're just trying to go to church. But this is going to help give you some framework in a short amount of time and just give you a foundation for you to be able to spring forth from. So today I want to talk to you about two words, orthopraxy and orthodoxy. Okay. Now, again, I'm not giving you deep things on this for if you'd like to. Again, I'll put links in the notes so you can go and study this further. But this is, again, enough for you to have a foundation to spring forth from. So orthopraxy and orthodoxy are what I want to talk to you about today. Basically, what these are two key terms in theology and religious practice, often used to describe different emphasis within a faith tradition. Okay. And so orthopraxy is the word we're going to start with. It's from the Greek word ortho, meaning right, and praxis, praxis, practice. So that's what it means. Ortho means right and practice. So orthopraxy. Orthopraxy is that. So the definition, right practice or correct conduct. Okay, so it refers to living out one's faith through proper behavior, rituals, ethics, and actions. Okay, in orthoprax traditions, how one live is seen as essential to authentic faith. Okay, so this is important. Orthopraxy basically is right practice. In other words, am I actively practicing what I'm confessing? Okay, and we'll get into more of that here in just a moment. And so the biblical emphasis on this is James 2:17. It says, faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. So you've probably heard it just said, faith without works is dead. It's these kind of things that you might hear in church and you go, yeah, I got that. But like, what does that mean? What is the word behind that? What's the root word behind it? It's going to be orthopraxy. Okay. That's what'll be important to you. Okay. An example is the focus on caring for the poor, the justice, and daily obedience to the Old and New Testaments. Okay. That would be you practicing your faith. That would be you orthopraxying, if you will, right? Your faith is living out your faith day in and day out amongst the people whose path you cross on a day in and day out basis. Now let's jump into orthodoxy. Okay. The Greek word, right? Doxa, doxa, belief or glory, right? Greek, orthodoxy, right belief, right belief. Okay, so the definition is right belief or correct doctrine. So what it does is it centers on maintaining a correct theological understanding of beliefs and creeds. In Orthodox traditions, what one believes is vital to their faith. What you believe, right, is vital to their faith. So remember when I was talking to you about orthopraxy here just a few moments ago, right? That is basically right living, right? That's the way that you live out what you believe, right? That's what you practice in your life. Orthodoxy, right, is believing right. Okay. So these things are important, and I'll tell you why. Because they go hand in hand. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here for just a second, but they go hand in hand, and so they are important. Just because someone has right beliefs doesn't mean that they're doing orthopraxy. In other words, practicing those beliefs. And that's why sometimes you'll see this and you'll be like, I'm confused because I heard this person say this, and I know this person knows this scripture inside and out. I heard them quote it. They didn't even have a Bible and they said it. They told me so many things. So knowing is not the same as practicing. Knowing is a starting point, but again, these traditions held it in high regard that you actually lived out what you said that you believed. Okay, so here's a biblical example of orthodoxy. It's in Titus 1:9. He must hold firmly to the trustworthy word as taught, so that he may be able to give instruction and sound doctrine. Okay, so you need to see that in me. One of the things that I tell people all the time is that when people tell me that they're a believer, it's not so much about a judgment that I'm looking for as much as what I'm really looking for in their lives are, do you practice what you say? So in other words, I'm looking for fruit. I'm looking for fruit that says that you are, right, what you're saying that you practice. That's what I'm looking for, because fruit never lies. And I'm going to tell you why. Because all fruit is a result of seed. So if you're planting the right seeds, and then I want to see the fruit of that seed. So if you're planting wrong seeds, but you know right words in other arenas, then I'm going to see a contradiction in your life, and you won't be you'll have really good orthodoxy, but not good orthopraxy. Okay. So, the early church creeds, like the Nicene Creed, define orthodoxy regarding the Trinity and Christ's divinity. Okay, so these are important. So let me wrap this up for you. Orthodoxy basically equals right belief. Orthopraxy equals the behavior that follows that right belief, and they're both vital to our Christian life, right? So our right doctrine should lead to right living. Micah 6:8 and Matthew 7:24. So listen, I appreciate you hanging out with me today for just a few moments. I'm super excited that you had the opportunity to come and be on my page. Do me a favor once again, like and subscribe. If it's not for you, send it to somebody else, and let them know that, hey, there's somebody here who's at least giving us a little bit of a framework for the things that we might hear and some context to things that maybe we need to know in order for us to go forward and continue to build up our faith and our understanding of the character and the nature of God. Don't want you sitting in congregation being blind. Also, again, there will be links in these videos, so make sure that you just kind of connect with those videos, to help you out to go further. If you have questions for me, leave a comment, and then I'm happy to answer it to the best of my ability. If I cannot, which I do not know everything, I will readily tell you that. I'm going to point you in a source that I believe is a healthy source, a spiritually healthy source, to be able to help you understand at a more deeper level. All right. Y'all be blessed. Take care.